Let's play a little This Is Your Life and talk about how you grew up, and not only where you grew up, Larry, but who you were surrounded by when you were growing up. And I want to start with your grandfather. A lot of the stories about you make mention of him. Dr. Robert Johnson, optometrist, and I know he gave you some exercises to improve your hand-eye coordination. I want to ask you about that, but what strikes me is here's a guy, an African-American male of his generation, and he's an optometrist. I mean, what an incredible role model that must have been for you at such a young age. What was it like for you to be around him and knowing that he was that accomplished and overcoming what must have been some incredible odds to be able to get to that type of position?
Well, I remember growing up and saying, wow, my grandfather is maybe the smartest man I've ever got a chance to meet. You know, he just was so intuitive in terms of his thoughts and his intellect and how he looked at life. He never put himself in a box. He always felt like he can accomplish anything he put his mind to, and he instilled that in his kids, and in turn, his kids instilled that in his grandchildren. And being able to see some of the things that he was able to accomplish, and some of the stories he would tell me about, you know, some of the racism he dealt with when he was living in Helena, Arkansas, and some of the stuff that he saw in New Orleans when he was attending Xavier University down there for college, just about how life was really tough. It dealt him a lot of tough blows, but he always got back up, no matter if it was, you know, when he was in war over in Korea and his life was on the line. He had to get transfusions of blood and thought he was going to die, you know, when he received a Purple Heart, and all the stories he would talk to us about, and the sacrifices he made for his family. It really just put life in perspective for me. And growing up with a grandfather that did so much, you know, I just wanted to, if I can accomplish a quarter of the things that my grandfather was able to do in his lifetime, I would be happy. And
it's cool when someone's not just telling you about things and trying to teach you things, but you know that they're actually living it, that he lived all that. Isn't that what has the greatest impact on you, just by his example?
Yeah, I mean, just a small, I mean, he worked 3 jobs, you know, for over 10 years just to be able to put all of his kids through college without having to take out any loans, put them in debt. I mean, he did it for all of his children, and, you know, just that kind of sacrifice alone. I remember when he was getting older and he was telling me, so Larry, when you have your health, take advantage of it. You know, go out and see the world, do all the things that you want and you hope and desire to do, because when you're older and you don't have your health, no matter how much money you've done, how much wisdom you have, you know, you physically can't do it. And, you know, I remember him telling me that, and that's one of the reasons I live life to the fullest. You know, tomorrow is not guaranteed to any of us, and, you know, I just try to go out there and live the way my grandfather told me to go about it.
So tell me about these exercises he used to do. I guess it started just to improve your performance in school, developing your eyes. I mean, that was some really forward-thinking stuff. What did he do, and how much do you attribute your success as a receiver to those early exercises?
Oh, a lot of it. I know I still have 20/15 vision, and everybody else in my family wears glasses, you know, so just a lot of the, like, pennies, we would merge the pennies. There would be, I would stand on the ball and be able to have to touch different objects, you know, with one eye blindfolded, or different exercises like that to strengthen it. So in school, you know, they would say, you know, he has attention deficit disorder, you know, he's hyperactive. But my grandfather didn't believe in that. He felt like there was some other alternative exercises that I could do instead of getting on Ritalin or Adderall or some of these medications that a lot of the kids are dealing with now. And it really helped me focus a lot better in school, helped me a lot academically, and I was able to, you know, really raise my grades when I started getting vision therapy treatment.
Your mom, another amazing role model, and to think about what you were exposed to as a young child. Her name was Carol. She was a disease intervention specialist at the Minnesota Department of Health, specialized in HIV and AIDS, formed a task force, formed a support group, and we have, I guess, a younger viewership for this show. I'm not sure people of that generation really understand how scary HIV and AIDS was when it first became this huge epidemic. We've come a long way, not far enough, but here you are, what, 6, 7 years old, and she has you counseling kids whose parents are dying of AIDS.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a growth experience that I would imagine had a huge impact.
It did. You know, this group was called the Circle of Love, and there was a lot of people that had just been diagnosed with HIV and AIDS, and obviously that is a devastating blow to be dealt. and they have children, and they would bring their children to this group, and my mother would tell Marcus, Larry, you guys are gonna come over. I want you guys to play chess or go play basketball in the gym. This is why she was trying to help them with information they needed to continue to have a prosperous life and things they needed to get set up, you know, for the cocktails they would need to prolong their lives. And we would go just have a good time. We would study together, do all that. And still to this day, you know, I'll get letters, you know, from some of the kids that, you know, I was actually, you know, in those groups with.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it's really, it really comes full circle for you, you know, because as a kid, you don't really realize, you know, what you're doing. You know, you say, Mom's making me go, I gotta go, you know, but it set the groundwork for, you know, my thoughts and ideals now as a man, you know. So philanthropic work is like second nature to me. It's not like, hey, let's go over here to, you know, to the children's hospital and see the kids. It's not like pulling teeth. It's just, it's natural, something I like to do, I enjoy doing, and I take my son to do, you know, because it's something that was ingrained in me at a very young age.
And at a young age to be exposed to the idea of death. Mm-hmm. You know, at that age, you think everybody lives forever, nothing bad ever happens to anybody. And your mom put death front and center. I mean, I don't want to over-dramatize it, but that's what happened.
So many people that I knew at a young age, you know, died from HIV and AIDS and cancer. And, you know, my mom and dad, I really respect them. They never sheltered my brother and I. We saw, you know, the effects of drugs users. You know, if you share needles, there's a possibility that you can get HIV. If you're, you know, having unprotected sex, you know, there's a possibility that these things can happen. And these are discussions that we were having at 10, 11 years old. There was always open dialogue. So there was nothing ever in life that I couldn't go home and say, Dad, Mom, this happened today. You know, how would you handle this? And that's the kind of same way I try to parent. You know, you never want to shelter your kids from reality, you know, because, you know, reality always going to show its face. You know, you want to be prepared for it, and that's kind of how we were raised.